Hey guys, welcome to video 7.3. This is the French Revolution. In the times of political turmoil, dictators often seize control of a nation. Bonaparte, Napoleon, is a military genius who seized power in France and made himself emperor. In 4 years, Napoleon goes from a nobody to a somebody to the somebody, all right? So there we've got Napoleon. Good picture of him. I don't know why he's hiding his hand. There's actually some theories out there. He was born in 1769. He becomes an officer in 1785. So what is he, like 16 then? No pressure on you guys. By 1796, he's a general. By 1799, he is the dictator of France. So he did that at about 30. So I'm running 10 years behind. He's the emperor by 1804. And then in 1821, he dies at the age of 51. Sadly, I'm only on pace to catch one of those, and I'm not hoping to. So there's Napoleon. Some famous quotes. If I am seen too much, people will cease to recognize me. Religion is what keeps the poor from murdering the rich. Since one must take sides, one might as well choose the side as victorious, and the side which devastates, loots, and burns. That's a straight quote stolen from Machiavelli. 4 hostile newspapers are more to be feared than 1,000 bayonets. So let's go back. 1795, the leaders of the National Convention placed in power the upper middle class, the bourgeoisie, which created the third new government called the Directory, or the National Directory. The National Directory, 2 House legislatures, and an executive directory body of 5 men. They were moderate. They're not revolutionaries. All right, so they're going backwards this way. They're becoming more conservative. Remember Robespierre? He ended the last set of notes, like Louis and like many other people, headless. All right. Of course, some of them were corrupt and made themselves rich at the country's expense. However, they did give up the country a time of order. Most importantly, found a new general, Bonaparte, Napoleon. By 1799, the Directory loses control and the confidence of the French people. They're like, this thing is crazy. This doesn't work. So by 1799, a coup d'etat takes place. 1800, the first consul, he becomes the dictator by vote. By 1802, he's named the consul for life. By 1804, he's the emperor. Each time the people voted, and they strongly picked Napoleon. People were so sick and tired of the revolution that the French people started voting to have an emperor. Think about how far we've come. Just a little while ago, they're like, oh, kings are terrible. We should never have a king again. Next thing you know, he's the emperor for life. How did he do that? 1795, the coup d'etat, Napoleon defeats royalist rebels by attacking the National Convention. He wins stunning victories in Italy, gaining popularity. So he wins at home, and he wins abroad. All right? And he was smart, thankfully, because it's 1795. There's no permanent news media. The losses he suffered in Egypt, nobody knew about. All right, pretty easy. So he takes over the government. Instead of saying treat everybody equal, treat them better, he wants order, security, and efficiency. He seizes power. He defeats the British, the Russians, and Australians who joined forces against him, and he takes over France. So real quick, the French Revolution breaks out. Napoleon defeats the royalists. Napoleon's rolling. He gets power from the Directory. He gets all the real power. And by 1804, in 15 years or so, he becomes the Emperor of France. That is a nice, nice setup. All right? And you know who he had give him the crown? Himself. And he goes into 4 important reforms: the Napoleonic Code, the public education system, amnesty to the emigres. He wanted those people to come back, and the Concordat of 1801, where he declares peace with the church. So you get this really kind of dichotomy. Oh my gosh, he's an emperor, but he's going to ensure equality of all citizens before the law. To get a job, you've got to be talented at it. No more serfdom, no more who do you know. He's going to try to bring back some people. He's bringing back old school. He's not bringing sexy back. He's bringing emigres back. And he makes peace with the church. He was very proud of this Napoleonic code, this set of laws. And what he was trying to do was eliminate injustices. Everybody knew what the rules were, they knew what expected, and they knew what they could get. It limited liberty. People didn't have a ton of freedoms, but they had just enough so they felt like they got freedoms. And there was a balance where he gave them just enough where he could still promote order and authority. Because remember, he's an emperor. He wants his rules enforced. Again, restored order to France, crowned himself emperor. Again, worked something out with the Pope, made the French central government stronger. He ends corruption because nobody wants to mess with him. All right. National banking system. Sets up government-run public schools. He rewrites the French Constitution. And to save the economy, he starts building buildings, roads, canals, bridges, and memorials. That gives people jobs, man. And once you got jobs, you can buy bread. Once you can buy bread, you're paying taxes. And you can follow the laws, and everybody's happy. What he did was he kind of saved the revolution's ideals by killing the revolution. It's an interesting dichotomy. He tried to make sure the taxes were fair, public schools merit-based, peace with the Pope, and the laws. Clearly. He used Enlightenment principles. Interestingly enough, women did lose some rights when Napoleon took over. You get the civil reform, the public education, again, military system, merit system. If you were good at your job, you went up. If you were bad at your job, you went down. And one of the things that he did was really smart, is if people did a good job, he rewarded them. He was trying to build up loyalty. All right. So he conquered Europe. He's going to beat Britain, Russia, and Australian forces in several billion battles. Austria, Russia, and Sweden signed treaties with him because they're afraid of Napoleon's power. So he is doing well. See, he's saying, I'm number one. And he's not wrong. Now you get the Battle of Trafalgar. The British destroy Napoleon's navy, ensures the British naval superiority. And this is basically the point where you find out how powerful Napoleon is, because he can't attack Britain. All right? So he has to look for another way to control Britain. We'll talk about that another day. All right? Collingswood, huh? Basically what happened was the British cut the French fleets in halves and were able to defeat them. Napoleon's empire, led by the Grand Army, Old War, conquered everyone, enemies. He got Britain, he got Prussia. He's going after Britain. He got Prussia, he got Russia, he got Austria, Sweden. He loses the Battle of Trafalgar. He wins the Battle of Austerlitz, which we'll talk about. By 1807 to 1812, Napoleon is slowly but surely conquering Europe. New World is where he cuts his losses. The Haiti Revolution, he lost. Did not go well for him. In the New World, he sells the Louisiana Territory to make money to pay for these. All right? Basically, he gives up on the Americas to concentrate on fighting in Europe. 15 million. Two benefits. He gained money, and he would punish the British. Get it? Enemy of my enemies, my friends. If this land goes to the Americans, it kind of upsets the British, and it also makes the Americans an equal power with the British. Again, as he said, the sale ensures forever the power of the United States. All right, good. And Napoleon came as a liberator and left as an emperor, and by 1812, there you see the size of his empire. There's Napoleon's empire. So he controls all of Europe except for Britain, Portugal, Sweden, and the Ottomans. He has nowhere to put his foot. And his puppet rulers in some countries, alliances with others. By puppet ruler, there's Napoleon. He's pulling the strings and he's making somebody else dance. All right? There he is. Good. So by the end of this, again, Napoleon is number one. The French Revolution is big as it could be. And he is powerful. Take a second and see if you can do these. We'll talk about these in class. All right, guys? Have a good day. That is video 7.3.